Welcome to the Veterinary Marketing Podcast, where it's all about helping your veterinary practice attract, engage, and retain clients. Broadcasting a new podcast every Monday from sunny Southern California, here's your host, Brandon Bashirs.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to episode number 176 of the Veterinary Marketing Podcast. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about how to use really segmented, targeted lists inside of your veterinary practice to help grow your business through very pinpointed targeted marketing. This is going to be very helpful to increase revenue and increase conversion in your practice. And so I think it's going to be really, really valuable. Doesn't matter if you're a specialty practice or if you are a general practice. I think this is going to be very, very helpful for you. So I'm excited about today's episode. I think there's going to be a ton of benefits for you. A few things that I want to mention first before we begin. If you haven't done so already, subscribe in iTunes or Google Play. And if you would like to, I think you should for sure, because there's going to be tons of value in there. But if you head on over to the Veterinary Marketing Nerds Facebook group, you can join, get help. It's free. It's facebook.com/groups/the Veterinary Marketing Nerds. And you can get help and get questions answered, all that good stuff. So if you ever need help from me or you have questions, that's the best place to find me to get responses and things. And then in general, if you need help with anything, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm always happy to help. So thank you so much for listening. Let's jump into today's episode. I think it's going to be really, really solid. Now, I was actually talking with somebody that gave me this idea, and this is kind of what I was thinking specifically about this. But inside your veterinary practice, you're constantly attracting, or hopefully you're constantly attracting and engaging with your current clients. And depending on what the compliance or take rate is, specifically for additional procedures, that it depends on your pricing and things in terms of what it is that you offer, what your price points are. That's going to be very specific to you and your business. But tracking and keeping track of the people that come in that get presented case options and then are not, they don't take you up on that. I think having that data is extremely, extremely valuable. And in any kind of e-commerce situation or any kind of you're selling stuff online, you're going to have people that hit your sales page, and they're also going to be hitting the cart and then the abandon cart. Cart abandon is extremely, it's just all over the place with e-commerce websites. And I do a lot of e-commerce as well as local business stuff, and it is amazing. Typically, you'll have anywhere between 40 to 60% cart abandon rates. So people will get up to the point of saying, "Yep, I'm into this product. I'm adding it to cart. I'm going to start initiating checkout," and then they just leave. And that's pretty crazy if you think. Nobody, or not very often, you're in the store shopping. You're like, "Yep, I need this. I like this. Let's get this. Okay, I'm ready to go," and then you just leave your cart and completely walk away. But that's what people do all the time. Now, the same thing goes with being in practice, right? Let's say you have a client who comes in, and the reason why I thought about this was because we were specifically talking about dentals. But a client comes in, they get a quote for dental, and they say, "Ooh, this doesn't look good. I'm not going to do it right now." Especially for things like dentals. And I've never worked in a practice. I have no background in performing specific procedures, so please excuse my phraseology, because I'm not I'm not a medical professional by any means, so please excuse my ignorance. I do marketing, right? So you have people who come in and they, for whatever reason, they can't do it right now. Maybe it's not a good time of year for them. Maybe it's not a good situation. Maybe they're unsure of, if they have it in the budget. Maybe it's just a big decision and they want to think about it, type of a thing. And I've actually been hearing from a lot of clients that I've been working with that they've been saying to themselves, "You know what? We are losing a lot of specifically dentals because the pricing is high. We're actually trying to go for a more premium priced dental procedures, and we lose some clients to that, and so that just is what it is. So I think if you approach services that you've lost and you've actually asked and tried to get a quote out, and they've said no. But it's probably the best thing for the client to have. And depending on what kind of a service it is, you're going to have to obviously know, is it a high margin product? Is there room for discounting? Is there room for promotions? Is there room for specials or bonuses? Or how could we add value here? If you can brainstorm those ideas around your products and services, and I know this is extremely difficult because, every single practice is going to have their own thing that they offer. They're going to have their own pricing, they're going to have their own margins and costs and all of that. So you need to, go and use this as a general framework, but really ultimately figure out what you can do to help increase the compliance and the take rate of your offers. So just like cart abandons, if you had an e-commerce website and you had visitors coming, they looked at your products, they told you what they were interested in, and then they abandoned cart. That happens to e-commerce products as well. And that's the same thing as somebody coming into your practice saying, hey, I have this dog or cat and I want to get a dental done. They get a quote and you know what? It's too expensive. So they're going to abandon cart and head home. So what can you do with that? There's a lot of things that you can do with that. I think that especially as you offer special promotions, follow up with these people in every medium possible. And that includes direct mail, that includes email marketing, phone calls, telemarketing, and just getting in touch and in contact with these people. And I know I just said direct mail, and I never talk about direct mail, but the truth is direct mail is a good way. If you have an actual list, if you send a handwritten note or something that stands out, doesn't look like junk mail, people will open their mail. And they're actually getting sent less and less direct mail over time. So it's like, less targeted medium in general, right? People still do get a ton of junk mail. But I mean, if you think about yourself, if you get a card that looks like a greeting card or a birthday card from somebody and it's handwritten, hand addressed, you're going to open it probably because you're like, oh, somebody sent me a card. Fantastic. So sending mail to your clients and your customers that doesn't necessarily look like promotional mail, that looks like a handwritten note, informing them of a special, especially if you can make it personalized. Now, I think you have to realize that, this will be time intensive, but here's the thing. You have a list of people that you know live close to you, need work and need service, and you know specifically how much you've quoted them. So it's I'm not saying you do it for every single person who comes in the door and leaves without, full compliance, but if you have a list of people that have been pitched on dental work but decided not to, and again, you're going to have to use your best judgment because there's always going to be, specific situations. If you have clients who have zero potential for affording stuff, but I think actually, as I'm saying this, I'm actually thinking about this. The specific person that I was talking to that gave me this idea, she was saying that one of her clients' grandparents gave her $10,000 so that she could get her cat's dental work done. And so, even though the client didn't have the money, her family member came into some money that gave her some. So, those kind of things happen all the time. It's crazy stuff happens, right? So, don't discount or make assumptions just because you have your previous judgments about somebody. That's one thing that I would say for sure. So, back to the point here, though, is that if you can create either an ad or a direct mail piece or something that is very, very laser targeted, and not only is it targeted, but it's personalized and it has a personal touch, and it is just a message communicating your value proposition to these people, whether it's like, hey, dear Bill, just wanted to send you a quick note and let you know that we're running a special promotion. I remember you'd come in for a dental exam and ended up leaving. Just wanted to let you know that we're doing a special here that we're not advertising to the public. We're just letting our favorite clients know here's what the special or the promotion is, and I wanted to make sure you knew about it. If you have any questions, please call me, right? And that kind of personal connection and personal touch will probably win your business. And it also, if it doesn't, it'll make them feel special because you're thinking about them and you actually took the time to write it. But it doesn't take that much time to write something out, especially if you have something pre-planned, you can send it. So that's that's one thing that you could do that I think would be super effective. Number 2 is just having your list segmented so that you know who to communicate, what to communicate with, and create offers that are specific to these people. So if you do have that list of people that have come in and gotten dental quotes but haven't bought from you, when you do have dental month, send out an email to them and say, hey, we knew that you came in on this date, you got a dental exam, we're having a special offer. Here's what it is. And that's ultimately just picking up those conversions. In e-commerce, we have abandoned cart email sequences. We have abandoned cart retargeting campaigns. There's so much money spent. It's crazy by huge corporations like Amazon and Target and Walmart and all these places. I'm sure you've seen the retargeting ads. You've been looking at the product and then you go back on Facebook and, hey, the product is front and center. There's a reason why they spend tremendous amounts of money to do this. It's because it works. You have somebody who's expressing interest. They show you something that they like and they want it, and it makes sense. You need to get them back into the conversation here. People's situations change, priorities change, and so even though it was a no back then, it might be a yes now. So my suggestion for you would be to have some kind of a direct mail campaign that is set up with automation in terms of it tags you and gives you notification. Some CRMs could do this, and you can actually export the work to somebody else. There's what are called fulfillment houses that will do handwritten notes on cards, and it makes it look like it was written by somebody in the practice. So if you don't have time, you can get handwritten notes written by somebody else sent out for you, and you don't actually have to do the work. So that's kind of cool. If you're curious about the fulfillment houses, I actually have a few that I used to use back in my real estate days that are still active, and they work really well, which is cool. So the way that you set this up is you just have a campaign automation sequence that sends out a fulfillment request to the fulfillment house. They have your creative on hand, and then the merge fields are sent out to the fulfillment house. They handwrite it, they address it, they put a stamp on it so it looks like it's done by hand because it was done by hand, and then it goes out without you having to think about it. It is definitely more expensive per mailing piece like that. I think it's something in along the lines of between $4 and $6 per piece. But let me think about that. If you had a list of people who came in, got dental quotes or whatever kind of quote, and you won back, let's say 10% of that business, which is totally possible. That would be like $60 on the high end to get that person to buy a high-end product from you. So I think that's a no-brainer, 100%. And I know we're talking about digital marketing, we talk about digital marketing on this channel, not really so much direct response mail, but it makes sense. Whatever medium you can use that gets attention, gets opens, gets, eyeballs on it that are your customers, it makes sense in my opinion. So having segmented emails that are set up with automation as well is very, very effective. Even on your best email list, you're probably going to get 30 to 40% open rates. So that's why I think, covering your bases with direct mail also makes sense in this, just because it's such a small list. I'm not saying send it to everybody, but with these really targeted campaigns, it definitely makes sense. So email is another way to do it. And then the last way that I think is really smart is using an app called Bonjoro. And I've talked about this app in the past in a previous episode. It's been a while though. So I'm going to tell you really quick about it again here. Bonjoro is an app that allows you to do direct messaging and video messaging to people that are on your list at scale. So it's really cool. If you wanted to send somebody a personal video, if I said, hey, why don't you send your clients a personal video? Here's what you should do. What do you think you should do? You'd probably say, well, I'd take out my phone or something. I would make a video. I would upload it to YouTube, and then I would send that YouTube video to a person. And that's totally possible, totally doable. The problem with that is it's very time intensive. You have to figure out what you're going to say. You have to record it. It has to be professional or not. You could just do off the cuff. And then you have to upload it and render it and produce it. All of that takes time. What Bonjoro's done is they have completely streamlined this entire process. So think about like MailChimp or another email marketing software provider like that. that's basically how Bonjoro works in terms of the CRM. So what you do is you set it up so that leads or contacts are imported into Bonjoro. They get put into specific campaign segments. And then there's a corresponding phone app that you get notification for. So what you can do is, for example, let's say you had a list of people who it'd been 30 days since they've been pitched a dental work bill, and they said, no, I'm not going to do it this time, but thank you for the quote, and they hadn't done the quote yet. So then you set up an automation so that after that, in 30 days, they get put into Bonjoro, and you send out a message. And so then you would get a notification on your phone, and it would say, you're sending a message to this person regarding this item, and you would just be able to point the phone at your face and record a message. So I think this is just would work for a few reasons. Number one, Bonjoro is extremely different in terms of people are not receiving personalized video messages in their email inbox. It just doesn't ever happen. I want you to think about like the last time a brand or a business reached out to you on a personal level like that. It just doesn't happen. So standing out and looking different like that is super important. You're also able to provide more face time with the person, either the practice manager or the person who is the doctor there. And it's really easy to produce, right? You could say something like on the video, hey Bill, it's Brandon from so-and-so Animal Hospital. I just wanted to reach out to you because we are doing a special. And I remember that your dog Max was in and he had his exam. There was a bunch of work that you were thinking about doing. And I know that, definitely you'd be interested in helping your dog with X, Y, and Z problems that they're feeling right now. So just wanted to let you know we're offering 10% off dentals this month. If you would like to book a time, please just comment on this video or send a reply to this email and we'll get you booked. By the way, this 10% off offer is ending in 7 days. So you have to book the appointment. You don't have to have the appointment, but you have to book it in the next 10 days or 7 days or whatever time. So just wanted to let you know. Thank you so much. Please let us know if we can do anything for you. And then you send it and they see the person. It is just a personal touch that is completely out of the ordinary. Now, in the episode where I talked about Bonjoro, this app is like the best kept secret, in my opinion, for communicating at scale and giving personalized communication to your clients, because it makes you feel like this person took the time to make this message that they actually care. It's going to help them to get to know, like, and trust you better. It's going to help them to get more time seeing you, hearing you, and all of that. So when I mentioned this in previous podcast episodes, I said, hey, this is a great way to do follow-up, to get reviews, to get positive engagement with your clients, especially if you just did it once a day and you had the doctors send out messages, and I don't know how many patients you see in the daytime, but even if you saw 12, you could just do a quick video that was like, hey, James, it's Brandon. I just wanted to say thanks so much for bringing Max in today. And it was great seeing him. If you need anything, please let me know. Talk about something that happened in the appointment. But it was great seeing him, blah, blah, blah. He talked like that, right? And so I just think it's tremendously valuable. And using these kind of marketing touches that are more custom and more personalized, specifically for higher end ticket items. Dental work is expensive for a lot of people, especially for their pets, right? Most people don't do the adequate dental work on their own teeth. So like a pet's teeth dental work seems really expensive, right? So, and I shouldn't say most people, a lot of people do dental work on themselves, but it just is an expense, right? It's kind of painful. So offering up specials and promotions and bonuses and things like that, it helps to justify that decision that they need to make with logic in terms of, oh, here is a reason for me to do this right now. Like, I better do it right now because I have this reason. If you can give people the reason to take action, if you can give them time frame and scarcity and push them into some kind of action, it's going to be more successful, just because that's how human nature works. We are procrastinators. We don't like to do things that are perceived to be painful. Like, we're just designed to try to avoid pain as much as possible. So give people an excuse to say yes, make it simple for them to say yes, and really custom tailor your offers so that you're going to be able to convert more. I know that you're going to be able to win more business with strategies like this. You need to think outside of the box in terms of what kind of things could we do? How could we do value adds? If we did specific, like, let's say you were a rehab clinic, for example, and you did rehab specials. If you did bundles of pricing and you had multiple things that normally you sold individually and you bundled them together for a great price and a great package, or you pre-sold 10 sessions for this price, or just become creative and think about the marketing messages and the types of things that you like to use and buy. How do people outside of veterinary medicine, how do they compel you to buy things? And start taking note of that and thinking about that, because I think it's extremely important. And it's a skill set that if you can develop, ways to influence and sell more products, you're going to be a lot more successful. So I hope that this was helpful. If you have any questions, comments, you need help with anything, please don't hesitate to reach out. And I will see you on next week's episode. Have a fantastic day, everyone. Bye.